Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the introductory session. Today we would discuss with the colleagues one of the an important and trending topic related to the educational practice. So I would like to start with again a brief introduction about yourself. Maybe the audience would like to know more about the background professional way that you are doing. So if we can just have 2 minutes, very short introductory about yourself. Please, sir.
Thank you, Doctor. My name is Hani Asfour. I'm now at Dubai Institute of Design and Innovation, which is a design and innovation university. We founded 6 years ago in Dubai, and I studied at Harvard and at MIT, worked in the region, then decided that we needed to reform design, education, and innovation to include design, technology, very important, and business sense. So we've been doing great results, and I'll pass it on.
Thank you. My name is Prof. Kanaan. I'm the Dean of Student Affairs at the University of Sharjah. Actually, my type of work now is related to extracurricular activities in general. My background, actually, I'm specialized in curriculum and instruction. I graduated from UK. I have 20 years experience in teaching and preparing students to be a teacher in school. I had 15 years in Jordan, and now this is my 4th year in Sharjah University. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone present here. At the outset, let me express my gratitude and thank the organizing committee for having organized this WES 24 in Dubai and has given me the opportunity to share my experiences with you all. I am Dr. Major General G.K. Thaplial. I served in Indian Armed Forces, Indian Armed Forces Medical Organization for about 35 years. I worked in Armed Forces Medical College, trained our graduates, postgraduates. By profession, I am maxillofacial surgeon, worked in different capacities in country and outside the country with the United Nations Peacekeeping Organization. I have worked in Cambodia. And now my area of research has been on the bioimplants, which I worked with Defense Research Development Organization as a scientist. Currently, I am the Vice Chancellor of Swami Vivekananda Subharati University, which is located in Meerut, around 70 kilometers away from the capital town of India, New Delhi. My university is a multidisciplinary university, has about 14 faculties enrolled, and currently around 14,000 students are residing in the campus. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Swami A.R., co-founder and CEO of Camu. Camu is an EdTech company offering student information management and learning management systems. We've been in the business for 10 years.
Good morning, everyone. I am Professor B. Bhima, Principal of Nizam College. Basically, I am a professor of microbiology. I have 7 years of experience as a professor, and total I have 20 years of experience as a teacher. And I have now, I have 3 roles. As a professor, I have a teaching role. I'm teaching to MSc students. And as a director of Center for Microbial and Fermentation Technology, I have research role. We have established a center called Center for Microbial and Fermentation Technology. And we are guiding students, PhD students. So far, I have guided 15 PhD students and MSc students. We have 2 courses in the Department of Microbiology, MSc Microbiology and MSc Fermentation Technology. And another role is as a principal, I have administration role. As a principal of Nizam College, which is a prestigious college in Telugu states of India. It is a 137 years old college, which is run by Usmania University. And Usmania University is also a centenary university, which is 105 years old university. And Nizam College is offering many postgraduate and undergraduate courses, including BSc, undergraduate courses including BSc, BA, BCom, BBA, and post-graduation courses, MBA, MSc, MA, honors, and as well as conventional courses. So with this, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much for your introductory session. Actually, when I looked at the panel discussion today, I have divided into 9 scopes, whereby we would have a question in each one of them. So if we start actually with this question, let us divide it 5 to 7 minutes for each of these scopes, so that we will be able to cover all of these important themes. I would like to start with the most important questions. In general, in each one's opinion, how you think that the higher education institution could effectively promote and support faculty in adopting innovative, practical educational approach. So maybe we could start from you, sir.
Definitely, I mean, innovation is in our name and our DNA. So it starts with hiring people who are able to work across disciplines, so multidisciplinary for sure. Definitely understanding the latest technologies, not necessarily being deep in them as much as being open to them and accepting them. And basically encouraging collaboration and discussions internally. Definitely internally and also institutionally. So especially in Dubai with the government is very advanced in the way they're thinking. And so we engage with the government because they actually are at the boundary trying to do innovative things. So that's very inspiring to see, which is unusual. Usually governments tend to be in other places a bit more conservative, but here they're on a mission to innovate, and we are lucky to be here.
I think I totally agree. Today, the higher education, they are looking for good quality educator who focus mainly because if you look like before, the instructor usually used to focus on to be is the main focus. Instructor concentrate as a center learning process. Today, the majority of the university, they try to go around and to have the instructor who could equip the students with the critical thinking and with the holistic approach in terms of how to motivate the students and how to make a brainstorming for the students to be able to go further.
If I may stop you here, Doctor, because what you have mentioned is really important. Do you think this is this is something talented, a person who is talented in teaching, or this is the responsibility of institution to train the educators?
You see, training is very important. Always a professional development, professional development is very important. But to start with, the instructor should be equipped with really open-minded to start with and to accept the new methods or any training he could be provided. For that now, these days, like mainly as well, the majority of the university, they are actually looking for a good researcher as well. Because university today, they need ranking, and the ranking needs a very intelligent instructor who could lead teaching and doing research in the same time. And that will not happen, like unless there is really a very good background who's making this instructor to be able to do both, because going in research and teaching at the same time is not easy.
Right. Right.
Some of the universities, so today they're saying, okay, we are looking for education and teaching more than research. Lots of universities, they says, no, research is fast. For that now today, actually, there is a big trend.
So from whatever you have said, Prof, do you think that if we could bring an expert to the classroom, 95% from the problems would be resolved, just like by hiring someone who is up to that level?
Yeah, you see, sometimes like when you have a good researcher, he will help students to go through the what we call it, like the way of scientific way of thinking, which is to bridge the gaps between theory and practice.
Right.
Because the majority of instructors today, they're focusing on theory more than practice.
That's right.
And now that's worldwide. We are always trying to bring instructor who could lead the practical side more than just giving the theory side.
Yeah.
And that's really today, it's a very big trend that we have to look further. That we need the implementation more than the memorization.
Thank you. Thank you. Well noted. We pass to you, sir. Maybe the same question about what do you think the education institution should do in order to promote the innovative thinking in the education system?
Okay, thank you. Let me come to the basics of this, what subject we are talking about. That is the pedagogies for the future. And we are discussing about how we reimagine the pedagogy for the future. When I say reimagine, it happens in the mind. And just I would like to tell you that physiology of mind is 3 types of mind a human have. That is the reptilian mind, that's intuitive mind, and that's the inspirational mind. When we think of future, the mind takes the input from the past, and minds take the lessons from the past and study the present and then plan future. But when we have a situation like COVID-19, unprecedented, unexpected, we had no plan, no future, nothing, no strategy for that. Human first time realized that he is the helpless, can't do anything. Since because we had no plan, we never expected this will happen. So now pedagogy also for the future, I will say, we should be preparing ourselves for which is we are not expecting. And what are those things which are not expected today? That is like the transformation of education which is going on. The AI is coming in. The kind of research happening in quantum physics. The type of research happening in data science. How the future jobs are going to be. We just can imagine. We don't have proof. So when we imagine what kind of a future jobs are going to be and what is the outcome will be, that we can plan. But things again, when we don't know what may happen, unexpected, for that also we should prepare. So pedagogy means it's a kind of a communication between a teacher and the learner, how we communicate. And today the concept is changing. It's not the teacher-oriented pedagogy, but it is a student-centric pedagogy. And when we talk about student-centric pedagogy, students have a different kinds of aptitude. Some people learn from listening, auditory skills. Some people learn better by seeing, visual skill. Some people learn by writing or doing something that's kind of that psychomotor skills. And all these skills combined together forms the better technique of pedagogy. But in the present day world, the things are changing towards digitizations, not the personal one-to-one rapport with the students as used to have, which helps a lot in learners to learn things from his or her teacher. The things are becoming virtual. So for the virtual, we will have to be ready and create our pedagogy. That's my take. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Feedback, the same question for you, sir.
Adopting innovation, I think it's a culture. It needs to come with a mandate, clarity of thought right on the top, what we want, what we should drive, and be absolutely firm about that. Then to drive it downwards, provision of resources, motivating people.
I want again, to stop you because you started with something. You have said it's a mandate. Do you think it's a mandate that comes from up to down, or it started to be from down to up?
Yeah. Now it needs to be both ways, but I think top to down, from the top, there has to be that crystal clear clarity. When things go up, then how much it goes up, it may not be absolutely clear to everybody. But from the top, this is what we want to become. That's our future. That clarity of thought, I believe, is just non-negotiable. Then it's easier to drive it downwards. But at the same time, there needs to be some downward in order to accept and make people a part of the process. So it's not simply like I told you to do this, that kind of an involvement. So it needs to be both ways. But number one, the highest priority would be clarity right at the top. And then after, once you have that clarity, then understanding the challenges in doing it, what help and what resources the people, the professors or the staff, working staff would need. Understanding that, providing for that, change in procedures, change in plans, motivating people, and consistently measuring that till we get to that goal. That's how
right,
I
sir.
think.
But again, I would like to cite from both gentlemen about we are here in Dubai. This is a place where infrastructure is there, talented people are there, innovative ideas are there, and people collaborate. But if we look at a bigger scope, in our developing countries, are we ready for this switch?
I think so. There are many examples of in countries where 5 years back, what we believed could be just absolutely impossible. For example, in a country like in India, in the most rural areas, it's all digital transactions.
Mm-hmm.
There are about what the United States does in digital transaction 3 years, people do in 1 month. Of course, there's a population, but the point is the penetration. It was just unbelievable that this could even happen. But then it takes so much of leadership and so much of change and the end user's adoption. So that's an example of how it can actually happen. So it's possible to achieve anything as long as you feel that you absolutely want it, and you have a method, whether it's going to take you 1 year, 5 years, 10 years to get there, to be focused and plan for it and keep going at it. So you got to believe and
Thank
go
you
for it.
So we'll pass the question to you, and you have mentioned that you are a microbiologist. Innovation is very important in science. I'm a scientist. I know, appreciate, the innovation solution and the advancement in technology. That's nowadays it's affordable, possible, especially when we are speaking about science. So I would ask you another question related to the topic which has been discussed so far. Would you please cite some examples of how we can implement some of the innovative solution, at least in microbiology, where you find it's applicable? What are the advancement of, or how the advancement of technology were positive for us as researchers, as educators, as people even work in industry?
Being a professor from a public funded university, Usman University is a public funded university, so public funded universities should be strengthened first. public funded universities must be strengthened by the government. Then only we can strengthen the whole education system, including public and private sectors. And as far as facilities concerned, public funded institutions are facing a lot of problems in facilities, and if the facilities are available properly, then only we can train the students properly, and we can make them strong academicians or researchers. And yeah, mm, for the past 2 years, Usman University and Nizam College is implementing CCE, that is continuous and comprehensive evaluation system, where the students are given 50% end semester exams, and the rest of the 50%, the students are evaluated internally. So they are given internal 50% and 50% external marks. So where the students are continuously evaluated by the concerned teacher who teaches the particular subject. So the whole concept of this system is adopting revised Bloom's taxonomy for question paper setting and evaluating the students. So students will be continuously evaluated throughout their academic year. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
May I add one thing from
Sure.
my side?
Sure.
Okay. I tell you something about what we are doing in the field of health sciences, training our medical students.
Yeah.
You see, the first year program in MBBS, there is a human anatomy. Earlier, were taught only human anatomy in a theory class, and maximum they were taken to dissection hall and to dissect the cadavers and to understand the anatomy by seeing. Now, what we have added, suppose there is a of bone called femur. That student is being taught about the femur, anatomy of femur. So when he understands the femur in theory class, then he goes to a dissection hall. He himself dissects the femur and he understands. But nowadays the cadavers are not available. So he goes to virtual anatomy. He does the virtual dissection and understands the femur. And the same group of students are taken to the orthopedic department where the surgery is being done on femur. So he will correlate this knowledge of anatomy, which he has learned in the theory class. He will relate it what he did himself by dissecting on virtual cadaver. And by knowing this, then he will understand what is the application of this knowledge in reality. So knowing things, skilling things, and then realizing the importance and implementing that knowledge and skill into reality. That's what we are doing.
That's great. I would like, elaborate more, and I would actually take the advantage of having an expert of education with us today. The question is very simple, but we need to think how to implement it. The question is very simple from the way, because all of us actually willing to implement it. The question is, how can technology be strategically integrated in our curriculum? What the professor has cited is important. I'm a scientist, I'm teaching anatomy, and I understand very well how important to visualize things to the student. But still, this is like an exercise we have to implement it here and there. I'm speaking about a more wide thinking, how we could get the maximum benefits of technology in our curriculum, how really we can enrich our curriculum with technology. If we can start from you, sir.
Thank you. Look, we have to reform education completely. We are really falling behind. Students learn from videos, they learn from AI, they learn from all these things. So the way we're framing it at DIDI, what we're doing, we're taking a trajectory. Data becomes information, information becomes knowledge, knowledge, what comes after that. And we're calling it wisdom for now. So in the past, students were generating knowledge. Now AI generates knowledge with all the biases and all the issues with it. So today the university has to shift from teaching knowledge to teaching wisdom. And this means teaching ethics, teaching how to ask questions, and being accountable to your questions. So it's creative thinking, critical thinking, and also complexity. So these are the things we need to focus on. And I'm speaking to everyone here in higher education. It is urgent that we reform the way we have structured universities. The Enlightenment model is gone. We need to move from tree structures, silos, into rhizomatic structures, into horizontal and lateral connections. And we need to instill in our students critical thinking and accountability. This is a very important time in where we are today. We are implementing it, and I would love to see all universities implement. Otherwise, we're going to fall behind. No more exams, no more memorization, complete applications, complete accountability for the knowledge that they are generating. In fact, let them generate wisdom. And then the question is, how do we teach wisdom? This is what we have to do. Otherwise, we'll fall behind. This is a very, very urgent request.
It's really like a revolutionary thinking. Thank you for that. And the reform is required, as you have said. We need to think about like how we can cope with whatever others are doing. And I would like to ask a professor here, because he is like in direct contact with the students. Why do you think we are like falling behind, as cited by the professor? What are the initiatives that should be like implemented from our side as like educators in order to enrich our curriculum to become more like up to standard, to become more like doing like innovative teaching rather than just like spoon feeding way of teaching? I would ask this question, ask ourselves how many, for example, innovative incubators we have in our institution here. How many innovative incubators we have in the universities in the UAE or in this region. I think all of these big innovative ideas has started from such incubators. Where are these incubators in our institution? We can start from you, sir.
I think to have innovators, and I think the universities in the United Arab Emirates, as you mentioned before, is well equipped with the materials and the infrastructure which actually enhance the educators to bring these students up and to have innovators students. I believe that technology will shape the future. But if you want to have it like more effective, it should go through the learning plan. It should be included in the content. It should be included even in the assessment, in all of the process of education in general.
Doctor, do we have that autonomy as educator to include all of that in our curriculum?
You see, what the educators do actually in their plans, they take into account all of these necessities, like, and to make today, let us talk about online learning during COVID. All of universities, we've been forced to select this way of teaching. But before, we don't have it. Like, I remember before, if somebody says, I'm going to have a certificate online learning, the majority of our ministers, they don't approve it. You have to go by yourself there and to get learning. Today, we are looking for the technology. The online learning, the AI as well, the artificial intelligence these days. We have in the University of Sharjah, we established a master program in education and AI. And that will be between the cooperation between the Faculty of Computing and Informatics with the Department of Education.
Interdisciplinary program.
Yes, interdisciplinary program. And that's why we take in this, because we believe that technology is crucial in the educational process in general. But as you mentioned, like, it depends on the implementation again, because at the end of the day, if you have all of the materials, but the instructor, they don't have the ability to use them, that is very scary, actually. Now, as you mentioned before, like we have between two generations. The old generation, they don't used to have technology, and they find it really hard to start with. The new generation, they live with it. For that, they go for it more. The scary is like, is the technology going to replace the educators? And this is a new trend now today in education, that's personalized center learning through the online, the resources available. The students, they could learn by themselves. And that's another trend today, like, and it's been, I remember in 1964, they're saying society without school. And today, we are thinking that technology spread everywhere. Our kids today at home, they said sometimes, why do I need to go to school? The students in the university, they says, what the instructor gave us. Anything I wanted, I just put it in Google, and within a second, I will have it. Put AI, I will give you the answer. And we still keep saying in higher education that we need critical thinking. We need problem solving. How are we going to teach our kids, our students, even in the university, these ways of thinking and dealing with education, while everything is available in their hand, within a second they could find it? They will not use problem solving. They will not use critical thinking. We don't help them to improve these skills because the social media today, the resources available between their hands. And that's we have to actually to rethink that is technology is very important, but I'm still believing educators more important, because the education in general is not focused just in one domain. The education focus in cognitive domain, which the students could have it and confide it on the technology. But also, as our colleagues mentioned, there is values, there is wisdoms, there is behavior domain, there is psychomotor domain. These other domains, which is formulated at the end of the day, the personality of the learners, technology will not be able to give all of these domains. For that, actually, educators is very important, and in education, we believe that technology is a tool to enhance educators to reach the information to the students.
Thank you so much for this insight. We can move, to Professor, and I would like again to cite from our colleague who mentioned Sharjah University. They mentioned that there are different school of thoughts, right? Now, the question is how we could be wise enough to give the chances of that implementation for all. At the same time, we consider the differences in culture, the barriers that avoid some students. We shouldn't forget now, for example, that some of our students are what we call them special education needs students, right? We need to provide them as well with the chance to have a good education. How we could really implement that strategy while we consider the culture differences, the individual differences as well, and the the differences between the systems of education. I think if you look at the Indian system, maybe it's somehow in some perspective are different from what we are doing here in the Middle East, right? And the same maybe in Germany, the same in UK, the same in Canada, and so on. So what's your insight in this, Prof?
Yeah, when I talk about education, the purpose of education is to create a global citizen. And in the words of Swami Vivekananda, who is the great saint, philosopher, and youth icon of India, he said the purpose of education is not to load the mind of the students with information, but to transform him to become a perfect human being. That's a very important statement. How to make that person a perfect human being, that is the job of the educator. And unless educator himself is not trying to become a perfect human being, he cannot make his students a perfect human being. As previous speaker, he said, we talk too much about technologies and technologies. But this trend is also dangerous. As I said, we don't know what is going to happen in technology. And with the advancement happening in the neurosciences discovery, in research, so many things are happening. What will happen to the AI? What will happen? What will happen to the human values? Will we disappear? All these values will disappear. Only we thinking of job, entrepreneurship, kind of education which gives up nice life, but that is not going to give us a well-being and a well-rounded citizenship. We have to prepare them to make a perfect human being. And of course, with the combination of technology, with the combination of values, with the combinations of future aspirations. So that in the technology, I will give you one example, like you said. In our university, it's a multidisciplinary, and now the medical students no more work in isolation in a medical college. Or engineering student doesn't work in isolation in engineering college. He learns fine arts. He wants to learn some music. The opportunity is given for him to learn music. He wants to learn something about law, legal. His opportunity is given to learn legal studies. And to combine all these, Government of India has brought out a beautiful document in 2020 that's called National Education Policy 2020. And if you read that National Education Policy, it's a wonderful document which has aligned itself with the old human values which India practiced 3,000, 5,000 years ago in Vedic era. And then came to the Buddhist era, then came to, and it has gathered many things from different civilizations, different philosophies of human life. And that document tells you that how we align, how we become a global citizen, but keeping our values intact, keeping our civilizational values intact, keeping our traditions intact, keeping our culture intact. So make all this combination will actually help our education system for
Well
future.
said.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. If we pass, you are working in industry, sir, and this is maybe, the biggest question for all of us. Yes, we are speaking about the nice part of the picture, right? The AI, the technology, an easy life, an easy education. But everything, whereby there are hope, there are always challenges, right? So again, the question is very simple. Are we ready to face these challenges that are associated by nature with using technology in the education?
I think the answer is also simple. There's evidence, and it's happening, and the adoption has been, there's enormous adoption of technology. But we're on the day-to-day. It's our job to solve day-to-day challenges that our users face, our customers face. So there's enough evidence, there's enough progress. It is to be seen that the adoption has been significant, particularly after COVID. So now it's all about to make the adoption easier, to make it less challenging. Again, it comes with inclusiveness. Why are we doing this? Okay, if right from the top to the bottom, if we all clearly understand why we're doing this, and if that decision making, the benefits and how it impacts the institution, the student, the learner, and the instructor, then it's easier to adopt, rather than some people make a decision and some policies and decisions are made. Others just are meant to follow that without a complete clarity of what the benefits are and Sometimes it's more work for you, but then it's less work for so many other people. But the clarity of thought is not there. Then it becomes challenging. Then people complain about it. So it's again, if you go back to the previous comment that I made, it's a mandate, providing the clarity and making everyone inclusive in the process. Then it's much easier to adopt change.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask you a question which is related to the previous question. As you are a microbiologist, we had severe and very harsh battle with microbes. We were as a humanity able to invent the vaccine and the antibiotics, whereby we were able to tackle a lot of them. But still, as the humanity move on, we produce new antibiotics. The resistance even arise. So antimicrobial resistance, I mean, some bacteria become more resistant to the antibiotics which we used to do. Now, actually, I think we are in the analogy to the example I have given to you. As we introduce the technology, there are a lot of side effects of that, right? Now, for example, I think, our generation, we use to read from books, as have cited by the gentleman here. So we used to read from books. I am from the one, actually, at that time, there was even no computer. So we used to go to the library to lend books, to read from them, to extract some of the information, and to submit our assignments, for example, for our professors. With nowadays technology, this become something very easy, a fast food, you put it on the table, right? So I would like to know what is the best, what is the optimal method, in your opinion, whereby we use the technology, but at the same time we foster a very attractive and healthy learning environment.
Yeah. In my opinion, we need to go forward for practical based education from classroom based education. See, we need to minimize classroom based education to practical based market oriented education, which is required for market, that we need to focus on that. So for example, recently we have introduced BBA financial operations, financial markets, and BBA retail marketing, where students go for 3 days. They go for 3 days in a week. They go for internship or training, or they go for malls, where they get lot of practical education, practical exposure, and 3 days in a week they attend the classes, like that. So keeping in view the increased technology like AI and all, we need to move forward for practical based education to to give better education to students.
Thank you very much. I would like again to go back to the idea of interdisciplinary, which was mentioned actually by a professor here about how the Sharjah University has implemented the interdisciplinary program. And I think, he has mentioned that there was a successful marriage between the education and AI, right? But do you think that it's always good, especially as we are moving toward a very digitalized education, to have interdisciplinary programs? What are really the benefits of going in this direction, Doctor?
Great question. Thanks for asking that. Our whole curriculum is interdisciplinary. In our case, all the students after the second year have to combine 2 disciplines together. They have to do that. And the reason we do that, there's something called a pie-shaped person. A pie-shaped person is someone who can, a T-shaped person. A T-shaped person is someone who can work horizontally across different disciplines and are deep in one disciplines. So that's the T-shaped person. And companies like Google and all these big high-tech companies, this is what they're looking for, they say. But to future-proof our students, we need them to be even deeper in more than one field. And that's why we call these pie-shaped people, which is the Greek letter pi, so 2 legs. And so all of our students graduate with two majors by definition. And an example about interdisciplinarity, I can pose it to the audience. So if let's see how innovation works. If I ask you to use a latest technology, let's say I don't know, augmented reality, go ahead and innovate with that, right? Most of us will draw a blank because it's so vast. But then I ask you to combine 2 trends together. So let's say we said augmented reality and autonomous driving. So combine them together, immediately you came up with one idea, I'm sure, right? So this interdisciplinarity, breaking down the silos, allowing things to work across, are just sparks for innovation. And that's why we do it. That's why everyone has to combine 2 disciplines. The last reason is that a lot of the future jobs that we are identifying are the ones that fall between disciplines. So a big future, for instance, in design and innovation is designing wearables, smart glasses, let's say. So if you study product design or you study interactive design, it's not enough. But if you combine it with designing for the human body and interactive design, then you are able to do wearables. And this is just one simple example. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, especially in design, it's hands-on, it's practice. We have something called professor of practice. We want practicing professors. We love PhDs, but we have no use for them because we need our students to know how to make things. And one of the biggest areas we have is a prototyping lab, 3 floors, where the students spend most of their time making things and making them work. I'm not interested in ideas only. These ideas have to work. Otherwise, we're not going to save society, honestly.
So I would like to re-emphasize on the point has been mentioned by our colleague here, which is preparing our student for the real world issues. I think our focus previously was like to prepare the student to be like to work. Like that's why our program was somehow like in an industry interface, right? But nowadays, I think the problem is more complex. It's not only to prepare a student to work in the market, but to be able to find a good job while the market itself is filled with other strong competitors. And this is, I think, what I would like, to cite from the professor here is to prepare them for the real world issues. Do you think this is an easy task, Doctor, to achieve, or we still like, we are in the first, like, square?
I think it's not difficult. I think it's easier to go for interdisciplinary programs. And we always say in education that we have to prepare our graduates for the 21st century skills. And that could be achieved through interdisciplinary programs. And I will give you example, like actually, and that's even been implemented before 10 years ago in the majority of the university. If you go, for example, for education, we have graduates or students who studied maths or chemistry or physics. But if you don't provide them with the teaching methods, they will not be able to apply what they learn to the students in schools. That's why the majority of the university, when they put like a study plan for the students, let us say 132 credit hours, they will put for them 21 credit hours of teaching. Lots of people saying, what's the link between teaching and physics or chemistry? At the end of the day, physics and maths graduates will go to teaching schools. If they have just the solid information from maths and physics and chemistry, they will not be able actually to implement that to the students. That's why always, even in the universities, the majority of the time, what we see in, I'm really sorry, just It's not criticizing to the educators or the instructors or professors who's working in the scientific colleges. We have always students saying, the way you're dealing with us is different from the way the scientific professors and doctors dealing with us. Because in education, we are using different methods. If you don't get the methods, you will not be able to deliver the content. That's why interdisciplinary program actually, it's facilitate the educators to reach to the students, not just in the knowledge they have, but when you link it with other subject actually, which is today they call it about, like they call that we have to respond to the sustainability approach. For that, we have to think actually of holistic understanding. We have to think of critical thinking. That's where the students, they could join the information together and put it in the way that the students will be able to understand it. For that, yes, the interdisciplinary program is very, very important. And the link, it's there. Even when you are putting your study plan or your lesson plan, you will join the idea you give it to the students with other subjects. Because at the end of the day, you need to build the skills, not just in one target or in one domain, but you have to link it with others as well. For that interdisciplinary program actually is very good way that's to make the students think in the holistic approach rather being just focused on one main themes.
Right, perfect. We move the same question for you, sir. I think, it's we as a humanity, as a human in general, we born in challenge. We challenge it before we even we become anything in the uterus to be a baby, right? So, and then after, to fight and, to born. And then after, we fought to be a good student. And then, to be in the college. And then after, maybe we fought to have to be in love with someone. And then after to get a good job, right? So we fought since day one, from the first breath of our life. So I think, there are a lot of questions related to innovation and using innovation in education. But still, I think the question is how we should start to implement this as a larger scope rather than just at a college level. How we can put this as part of the genetics of education. What do you think, sir?
Question is how to make students innovative. Okay. See, when we talk make a student innovative at a higher education level, it's very, very difficult. Because the child who has come all the way from his primary, secondary educations to higher education, whatever the mind has been matured so far, at a higher education level, you cannot transform it. So, transforming the mind starts in the childhood. Basically, human being is a seeker. Child asks questions to mother, to father, surroundings. Why this? What is this? It is the duty of parents and other things to answer the questions and keep that spark burning throughout in the minds of the child, that I must ask, I must know the answer. But our education system, right from the beginning, it was a kind of a memorizing thing. You read this, memorize, and produce it in the examination. You get an A grade, you are excellent. But then we have killed that quality of innovations, quality. So that is most important thing that we start this, and how to create a critical thinking. When the student and the citizen has the analytical mind and he has a critical thinking, any problem in life he will solve. He will not just bog around the problem. He will solve this problem because his mind is prepared to solve, because he is thinking critically. So when he comes to higher education institution, like what we do in our university, we have developed a software, used again a technology, And we carry out a study, a kind of a work, that student, which kind of a mindset the student has. He has a entrepreneurship mindset. He wants to go for entrepreneurship, or he wants to just go for a job. And third mindset, we would know from the student that he's got the research bent of mind or not. So we have a questionnaires designed by many of our psychologists, and based on that, we put our students in these three categories. One is the innovative mindset, the research mindset, bent of mind, not mindset, bent of mind, that if problem is given, he can critically think. Another person who is he doesn't want to think, he just want to finish his education, get the degree and go for a job. The government job or something like that. He wants to go for that. Second category, the person who is neither interested in job nor interested in study, he wants to create his own product and something, entrepreneurs. He wants to become entrepreneurs. And from that point, we have a group of teachers who mentor them like that. So that mentors students, they have a great responsibility to encourage and improve upon. And we found a great changes were happening in this. Students coming later with so many ideas, and then ideas are being matured by these, and then coming into a kind of a product. And that product is, we're going for intellectual property right. And then when a student go for intellectual property right, it's a great incentive for him. He finds that he has created something. So that's what we are doing. Yeah, thank you.
That's really very good input. And I think in parallel to our conference, there is a school panel discussion. And what you have mentioned that yes, actually we have observed this as an educator in the in the higher education, whereby the student come to you, whereby they have weak skills, almost no competency, and an average knowledge. And as you have said, actually, in order to treat someone, you need to have a proper diagnosis. We are not here trying, as higher educators, to throw the ball in the court of schools. This is not actually what is the ultimate objective. What we are trying to say here that if you start working on that kid at very early age, our task will be much easier to shape the future of that person. So the more the schools will work on the skills, on the knowledge and competences of the student, the level of the student is going to be, because education is an accumulative process. So you need to start actually to raise up that kid with these principles. So when the student will reach the higher education, he will be ready first to digest this information, to shape or to polish his skills and competences, and to advance in his knowledge. I would actually pass the same question to you, sir, as you are working in industry. What do you think, the input of industry, or how you think the industry, yes, nowadays, the relation, or all of us are looking to bridge, to have a very good connection and to build a good bond with industry. But I think, in reality, we are not having, that strong ties, although this is very, very important. How you think, the role of industry, especially nowadays where the technology is chasing us everywhere? How you think, we can implement these technology in the curriculum, in the advancement of education, in even the theories of innovative teaching? What do you think, how we should start? It's just collaborations between universities. It's at a bigger scope where the policy should enforce this. How you think we need to deal with this issue?
Sure. The National Education Policy 2020, which Professor talked about, defines various methodologies and strategies how we could adopt that. Traditionally, it's been industry institution partnership, but then that's not just it's important. But how many institutions would be able to find the right kind of industry partners for all the programs, and would it sustain? Now, with technology is just one aspect, which is enabler, but the demands are quite it's wide. Now, integrating the curriculum with industry input, now that's a possibility. Okay? We don't have to find the instructor to come physically into the institution. So if there's a program with 130 credits of learning, several credits could be led by industry-led, it could be instructed by the industry-led instructors. And you integrate that into your curriculum, then that just becomes a norm. Rather, you don't have to go specially find industry, institution, partnerships. So that could be a very fundamental or a more sustainable way of
I think
bringing that together.
what he has said is correct. Actually, we should be as well actually responsible as educator to cultivate, to strengthen the relationship with industry. It's not like one side. Like I think it's like both side interest to build this bond, because as I have said, and everyone is like knowing, and I think it was mentioned by the gentleman that we don't know what the future is going to bring to us. We are like really in a challenging moment, and we need everyone to be on board, because this is how it should be. Passing the question to our gentleman here before the final question. If you could just put your input, sir, about like how the industry could enhance what we are doing nowadays.
Yeah, in my opinion, now we need to improve industry academia collaboration by adopting some proper methodologies. Whatever methodologies we have presently, those methodologies don't serve properly to have strong collaborations between academia and industry. So whatever we are teaching now, whatever students are learning, they are learning in books. They are not really, they are not knowing what is happening. Rather, they are learning in books. So instead of doing that, we can improve the academia industry collaboration. If we can improve, then students go to industry and learn what is happening, what is the what they are supposed to learn. For example, fermentation technology, we teach students in books what is fermentation, what is happening in fermentation, and what are the microorganisms involved. We teach the students without showing practically. So instead of that, if we send the students to industry by having strong collaborations, then students will learn a real time by seeing what is happening in fermentation.
Thank you so much. Maybe we can close with this simple question, but I think it's very important. All of us as educator are we are blank toward the globalization. We have different students, like in the institution where I'm working, we have students from almost 40 or 45 nationalities. Even in our institutions, there are a lot of professors coming from different backgrounds, ethnicities, and color, all of that. So the globalization perspective is very important. Now the question is, and I think we need here to answer it, is a bit of a brief because of the time. How the university should integrate the global perspective in the curriculum? If we can start from you, sir.
Good question again. What's interesting is that even though I'm the vice president, but I teach and I'm an educator, so I make sure to get to know the students, and it's very important for the administration also to know who the students are. Now, that said, what I've observed is that when the students come in, they tend to flock together in terms of nationality or ethnic identity, and by the end of the first semester, they are flocking around ideas, regardless of their ethnicity or their country of birth or whatever. And so the university's role is then to instill ideas and to focus on the ideas, not to make a big fuss about globalization and all these, what I would call cliches, but to actually focus on ideas. And naturally, the students will gather around what interests them, rather than based on their previous biases.
I think globalization is very important, and in each university, in our university, for example, we have over 100 nationality actually in our university. Uh, they integrate together, they learn together. Even we have the dorms where they live together, and we do not have actually any problems in terms of like making the students' life and making the students' experience inside the campus is like we don't feel, we don't look at the which countries the students from.
It's
what
a strength, not a challenge. It's a strength for the institution to have that flavors,
yeah.
different color, people from different
Yes,
backgrounds,
because
right?
that will enrich the students' knowledge and culture as well. Sometimes you don't need to travel to another country to learn their cultures or their language. They came to you. For that, this mix of students actually inside the campus, that enrich the learning in general. And that as well will make people accept each other, and they love each other, and they integrate with each other. And like these days, like the students they are different because the social media make them, and the social, uh, they make them close to each other. I don't think there is big differences like being before. For that, now people now more aware about everybody, about every place. For that integration actually and globalization as well, like in our university and in university in general, we're preparing students to work everywhere in the world, not just inside United Arab Emirates. For that, like having this mixture of students actually make the life for the students like a global, and they have to deal with it in a small place.
Thank you. A perfect answer.
Yeah, to answer your question, I will just give you an example. Recently, India hosted G20 summit, and the logo of the G20 summit was one word, one family, one future. So this statement is such a important and a very powerful statement, which answers this question one. During this summit, I had the opportunity to join vice chancellors or educators meet from the G20 countries. And during that meet, it was discussed there should be collaborations, there should be integrations, and there should be hands holding. Those who are poor, their hands should be held by those who are top. Top to top, they should collaborate. The middle one should go up, the lower one should try to come up. And all this will happen through collaborations, through integrations, through understanding each other's program. And this will lead to student exchange programs, will lead to research exchange programs, will lead to cultural exchange programs. And all these happens within the universities, though collaborate with each other. I think that purpose, one world, one future, one world earth, we will achieve.
Another perfect answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So while all of that happens in with education institutions preparing the learner for the future, if you just step ahead and look at once they are into what they wanted to do, they are running their business or in their jobs. The environment is so dynamic now because of something that's happening in a completely different part of the world. It could impact what you do today and how you do things today. So it's important to be able to understand what's happening around. It's not no more just about that particular region or the physicality is simply taken out. Anything could, for example, selling toffees in little shops. The competition for it's not another toffee company. It's a digital financial transaction that impacts that. So that's the kind of change. So we need to be aware of what's happening around and being able to understand, have a more global perspective, very important.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Being a professor of public funded university, I would say that government should review the government policies for higher education to meet the global standards and to compete with the private sector education.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. So I'm really thanking, the first the organizational committee to allow me, to be part of this. Like interested, I have had a lot of such talks in the past, but this is one of the most interested one. Thanking all of you for giving me the chance, to be part of this, eye-opening, really not presentation, but really brainstorming session, and very innovative discussion. The ultimate objective of that is really to put all of these resources and thought in one direction, which is for a better and healthier education, for a better education and for a healthier community, for a better education and for stronger collaboration. Thank you very much again, for the organizational committee.